In this video I'll show you how to paint Jester from the Mighty Nein. Hello Bitsbrood, it's Craig from bitsbox.co.uk here with another Critical Role painting tutorial. So in this video I'm going to be painting Jester from the Mighty Nein. So before we begin, as always, if you like all things hobby related or you're just here for Critical Role miniatures and want to keep up to date with when the new videos land, then do feel free to hit that subscribe button somewhere down below. And as always before we begin as well, just a huge shout out and a massive thank you to all of the people who support us on Patreon. And if you want to know what our Patreon is all about, there is a link in the description down below. We offer things like free shipping on our website and random bags of bits for all your conversion needs every month as well. So yeah, the link's down below if you're interested in that. So let's get straight into painting Jester. So here we have the Jester miniature, and as always I've used the Grey Seer primer from GW for an undercoat, but you can use any primer that you so wish. So I'm going to start off by painting the lighter areas of her robes with Morghast Bone. I'll thin it out just a little bit. You haven't got to be too neat at this stage, which is why I'm just using an old brush here just to sort of just slap it on really. So this will go all over the back of her cloak and these sort of inner sections, and also just on her top as well. So in this video I'll mainly be starting at the darker colours and working my way up, trying to avoid using shade washes in this one so we get some nice softer highlights. And the first sort of highlight we'll be using is Ushabti Bone, so I'll be layering this on most of these areas. Just leaving that Morghast Bone just sort of in the recesses. And it doesn't even matter so much if the previous step is even fully dry, because you can blend them sort of in quite nicely, and then you could always add another coat on top to get an even smoother transition. But either way, just make sure you thin it out as always, and again I'm not being super neat at this stage either. Now I'm going to take some Wraith Bone, so this will be for a further highlight, so a bit more selected on this one, but again sort of hitting these sort of raised areas on the inside and just sort of going on the edges of the larger parts of cloth. And when it comes to doing the back, some of these more sort of raised areas, again you can see it's not fully dry because I want to sort of blend this in with the previous step just to get a bit more subtle transition. And if you want, you could go even lighter with a white if you want a further highlight, but as it is I'm going to go into some Caledor Blue and paint all the blue areas of her dress. And again we're starting with the darkest colour. I'm going to work up with some subtle highlights. I'm also going to do her hair in exactly the same way. So next I take some Macragge Blue, and just like the sort of bony colours, I'm going to layer this up over all the flat areas, leaving the previous step in the recesses. And again, it is dry at this stage, but if you don't have to let this fully dry, you can blend it in if you so wish. As you can see, as the paint goes on, I've thinned it out just a little bit as well, so it goes on nice and smooth. And with the hair, I'm just sort of picking out most of it, just leaving tiny bits of the darker colour in the recesses. So next I'm going to take some Caledor Sky, and just as before, we're going to do a highlight with this colour on sort of the more raised and sharper areas, like so, and again thin out to give yourself more control. Now as you can see, the brushes I used in this video weren't really keeping their tips too well, so you'll probably do a better job than I have with this one. I'll have to keep going back and trying to sort these brushes out. I think they've seen better days and probably due some new ones now. But yeah, just take your time with this step, hit them sharper raised areas, and that gives you a nice blue highlight on her dress. And then of course doing exactly the same thing for the hair. I apologise, I went a little bit out of focus. Her camera's been playing up a little bit lately for that, especially with these little miniatures. And you can see that's given us some nice highlights there. So I'm going to take some Lupercal Green now, and this is for the sort of dark green and part of a sort of cloak. This is a really nice sort of dark muted green colour, and it worked really well for this. I did do 2 thin coats for this to get a nice solid colour, as it did look a little bit transparent. And then I'm going to take some Sons of Horus Green to use as a highlight for this. So with this colour I've just gone straight into the highlight. There's not really many greens in the Citadel range that I use what work too well here. These 2 colours work well together, but a lot of the other greens are more sort of bright and just wouldn't work too well with this colour. But so we'll sort of skip straight onto the highlight with this one. But it still looks okay. It's a smaller area, so it's not too bad. And you can see the lines on the back there, so you just follow them and give yourself a nice highlight. So next I'm going to take some Allotic Blue, and this is going to be for her skin. So she has her face and her arms. I'm just painting the whole of the arms at the moment. A little bit of her legs, and of course her tail. You cannot forget that. And I'm going to do 2 thin coats of this colour to get a nice smooth finish. So just be careful as you go around the face, not to get any on the hair. And there's also a neck, which can be a little bit tricky as well. And I'm going to highlight these areas with some Lothern Blue, which I'm going to thin out just a little bit more than usual. And just apply it to the cheeks, the nose, eyebrows and chin, as always do on the faces. And I'll be applying it to her fingers as well, and just any other little raised areas on the skin. A little tiny bit on the neck, little bits on the arms. We'll be painting over some of the arms though in the next step. So now we're going to paint some Rhinox Hide. So she's got like some belts, some straps, some bits that are hanging down her dress, and also on her arms as well. So and we also have her shoes, which are going in this colour too. So quite a lot painted in this step. A little knife sheath as well. That's all just going to be Rhinox Hide. Then I'm going to highlight these areas with some Baneblade Brown. So you see on the left arm, I sort of painted a band there, and the sculpt wasn't too great on this one. I think she's meant to have sort of matching gloves, but it really just didn't look like it on my sculpt, so I just went with a brown band there. So when it comes to this sort of highlight, just follow the sharper edges of all these straps. It can be a little bit tricky to do, but you only need a little bit. And as long as you keep it nice and thin, good tip on your brush. Have a better brush than I've been using, you'll probably find it quite easy. And I've been doing little dots on them little areas there as well, where it's more sort of like a braided pattern. Then I'm going to take some Zandri Dust for her horns next. Again, the horns didn't look too great on the sculpt, so I just sort of went with where they sort of look like they are. The one to our left, which was her right, which I'm painting now, just didn't look sort of identical to the other one, but I just painted it to look like the other one. If that makes any sense. I'm going to take some Ushabti Bone and just highlight this, just by doing like lines across the horns, like so. That gives a nice little effect on the horns. Show you again on top. If you keep a good tip on your brush again, keep it nice and thin, you won't find it too difficult at all. And that really does just give a nice look of like the texture of the horns, which is really, really good. So I'm going to take some Iron Hand Steel now. She has lots of little buttons and buckles and things like that. There's a little band around her tail as well. I have a handle of her knife as well. I'm going to paint in this colour. I just carefully pick all of them out. And very, very careful on the buttons. I just sort of neaten up after these. But once they're done, I am actually going to use a bit of shade wash just on these areas. The only shade wash on the whole miniature. Just on these silver areas, just make them pop out just a little bit. Also just sticking a little bit just sort of under her arms to add a little bit of depth there. That really helps just bring these silver details out. I'm even going to just do a little bit on her face, just to darken her eyes and her mouth. If you want, you could paint her eyes with some white, but for this tutorial I've just left them how they are. And then as always, just take some Abaddon Hlack to paint the base, but you can do your base however you wish. I like to do just a plain black base on D&D miniatures, just so they don't look out of place in all the different environments you might use them in. And then here we have the finished Jester miniature. So yeah, the softer highlights I quite like on this one. Again, just a normal tabletop standard. We're not here to win any awards, we're just here to get them painted on the table. But yeah, I'm really happy with how she turned out. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, then please do feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already to keep up to date with all future videos. So all that's left to say is thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video. If you enjoyed this video, then please feel free to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. You can also click that bell icon to be notified when a new video has gone live on this channel. On the screen now are 2 more videos that you may wish to check out, and a link to our Patreon page also. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.